Hi, I'm Jacek, co-founder of Getint, Atlassian Platinum Marketplace partner, one of the fastest growing Jira applications on the whole Atlassian Marketplace. If you're new here, this is the second episode of the series where we are joined with our customers and partners to discuss the customer stories, the stories behind how they use our platform. At our website, we have more than 40 real customer stories, and we decided to bring them to life to refresh the concept. In this episode, I'm joined with Hubert, Atlassian Consultant, co-founder of Doctor for Jira, the application available via the Atlassian Marketplace, and we would be discussing the case of how Hubert helped eBay migrate from Monday to Jira. We will also share a lot of interesting insights about the Atlassian Marketplace and how to make sure you will choose the right application for you. Let's dive in.
Hello, Hubert. Nice to see you. How are you?
Hey Jacek. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. And yeah, let's have a nice discussion because it's a follow-up of the discussion of Atlassian community event that we met last week in Poznań. So happy to be here.
Thank you. So just to intro the viewers, we know each other for some time, but last week in Poznań we met again. And when I was having a conversation and presentation about Getint as a platform, Hubert added a lot of very interesting insights based on his own experience and implementation. So we just decided let's go ahead, let's record it. So I know you, but viewers may not. So if you can quickly introduce yourself, explain what you do. You're in the ecosystem for many years, so it will be nice to hear it.
Okay, so about myself. So I've been Atlassian Consultant since 2011, I guess, if I'm not mistaken. So I still remember Jira 3, Jira 4 server, no existence of Jira Cloud, no existence of Jira Data Center. And I worked for many, mostly enterprise level companies like the Commerzbank, Tieto. And then I end up in the eBay for pretty long time, like 7+ years. And we manage multiple Jira instances. And that's how also our path crossed first time, because we were using your tool for some kind of integration, but we will come to the topic later on. And then in 2022, I created an app for my problem that I encounter in eBay about the data governance cleanups, because in eBay, we merged and acquired companies on the quarterly basis. And then you can imagine that we had to migrate Jira, merge Jiras, and so on. And it's not the most pleasure task to clean it up after merging, especially on the server or data center versions, because duplication of the object and so on. And I decided to create an app in my private time that I can use inside the eBay. And then the Atlassian announced Codegate 2022. We applied with the app. And surprisingly, we won the first prize. And then Atlassian, we had a nice conversation because we got some prize, ticket to Las Vegas for a full team, 4 people. And then we had a nice conversation with Atlassian. I said, hey, that's a great idea. We see huge potential in your app. Let's do some business together. So they invested in our startup. And then I started to be the owner of the startup or co-founder, and still doing some consulting work because I love it, and also it's a part of the culture and the need of the customers, especially for the doctor. So feel free to try out. So data governance, cleanup, health checks, everything that you don't have a time, and you can save a lot of work and money on just one click diagnosis. That's about myself.
That's it, but it's a very nice to mention how great the ecosystem itself is, right? So compared to other ecosystems out there, it's amazing. You have so many applications, and because of the marketplace, small companies like yours or ours can really work with enterprises like on a very partnership levels. Like reaching out to those without the marketplace would be very hard. Thanks to Atlassian, it's nice. But also you mentioned about, I guess it's Atlassian Ventures, right? The program that helped you build the company. We know some other companies that benefited from it, and now they are like businesses, profitable, working with thousands of customers worldwide. And this is what I also see about one of the reasons why customers are migrating to Jira from other platforms, right? Because of the maturity of the ecosystem. It's not just about the Jira; it's also about everything around Jira, right? And the maturity of it. We started with the migrations. So how the need for migration occurred and how it happened that eBay needed the migration. What was the reason behind it, and what how the research process of the best application to use looked like in your use case.
Okay, so one day I received the requirement from the higher management about a possibility of integrate two words. So word of the higher management and the word of program and project managers. So because the top management used the Monday for planning, and the program and project management used the Jira for initiatives, epics, story tasks, subtasks, and so on. And we would like to have some kind of integration, and we started to do the investigation. What are the possibilities? And we found the three potential solutions to do that. So from inside the Atlassian ecosystem market, like your solution, and also we found some kind of external solution that connect the two words. And we started to play with them, and based on our experience and my experience, for example, with the other tools that doing integration, and we use, for example, for Zendesk integration, we use the Exalate solution, but it requires coding and maintaining. And we knew that we want to have a solution that it's low-hanging fruit in the maintenance. So with no coding, even though we had some coding at the end because there was some problem with mapping of the users, but we just reach out to your support and you deliver in 4 to 6 hours or something like that. I still remember that. I said, oh, they are like super fast and super good in the response. And not saying, okay, we will investigate and then coming back to you after 2 weeks, like my some of the experience with the bigger partners. That's why it's also nice to try yourself and go not always to the biggest one, but the one that, like I always think, rising stars, like your company. And then we received the code, everything, let's say, worked. It was like integration was maybe not like without any issues, but based on my experience of 11, 12 years, there is nothing like no friction integration or stuff like that, because you have so many edge cases, so many configuration differences that you cannot like have like one tool that can solve all kind of
With just one click, right? It's just
with just one
impossible.
click. But it was good because we got a dedicated like support engineer, and we were like and you were really fastly deliver our needs. So we were saying that it's a customer driven development, even though it's a good thing, they're not bad in the better area, because
Yeah.
we were able to solve all our edge cases. Because instance in eBay, 15,000 users, super big customization of a lot of stuff, 1,000, more than 1,000 projects, I think 2,000 custom fields, 5 million tickets or 8 million tickets right now. So huge integration. And also what was the funny, because we estimated that the project will take up to like quarter, and we were able to have like that it running in 4 weeks. So super fast, super cool. Of course, that also was the learning curve for the new tool, but it's always like that. Of course, you made some mistakes with connecting to and downloading all the data by mistake, but that was fine, because like in Jira you can clean it up easily, or you can
Yes.
use Doctor for Jira for cleaning up the stuff that you don't need. And because the problem with Monday does not have a sandbox, or used to not have a sandbox with the replication of the data, so there's always integration with the production directly. But yeah, so we were able to establish that integration, and it was running for 2 years. Like everybody was happy. So any epic that was created in the Jira was reflected in the Monday. The same, all the updates, maybe not all, but selected updates from the Monday was also coming back to the Jira, and you have two words. But
Yeah, with comments, attachments, and stuff. Yeah.
exactly, yes. And the problem was always with sub items, the structure, and so on. But it was like, I think, even customized for our needs with some small scripting. And then after 1.5 years, the Monday and as well Jira increased a lot of the pricing, and still it's increasing pricing every year. And that was a decision from the highest level of management that you need to decide for one tool. Either you go fully with Monday or with the Jira. And of course, when you go to developers or development team and saying, hey, you tomorrow start using Monday instead of the Jira, then the answer was pretty simple. Are you mad? And
Yes.
then we said, okay, then we need to do some kind of exit from the Monday. So again, now we need to migrate. So we have nice integration. Now we need to migrate. And again, so we reach out to your support and also read the documentation, how it can be done and so on, but it was super simple. So if you have a running integration, doing the migration was, if I'm not mistaken, it was like just you need to update all the tickets with dummy data, and then they are like automatically synced to the Jira by.
That was it. Yeah, back then, now we also improved it a bit, so you have a dedicated migration panel, but it's still like based on the integration schema. So once the integration is completed, you just say to the tools, now execute the same integration, but for the items created in the past. With the Monday Jira, sometimes it's not very straightforward because the API of Monday is not perfect, right? So sometimes you need to be a bit flexible. And of course, those two tools, they weren't meant to be integrated. They weren't meant to migrate between them. So you have to be a bit flexible. But as you mentioned, sometimes just a discussion with a support, like aligning somehow, like just doing a bit of workarounds and then migrating everything that is possible. So it started with the integration, and then there was a business need to migrate. Now the integration is no more because there is no use case for it. But then maybe there will be one day one for like ServiceNow, Jira, or anything else. So as you remember from your experience, the preparation of the migration is sometimes like the big element. Aligning the two tools, both Monday and Jira, they are so different. Monday is very limited out of the box, right? You have columns that you need to align. Jira has a lot of fields out of the box. So how the process of preparation for the migration looked like? Were you creating custom fields to store the values in different environments, or how?
Yeah. So for our case was pretty easy because the investigation was done during the integration, and
Right.
we just said, okay, you want to get rid of the Monday in the selected period of time, then let's only take the data that it's already integrated. And if you really have some need, you have a deadline of 1-2 weeks. Come back to us if you need something more than it's in the integration. But overall, we have I think we have nearly all the fields integrated already, so there was nothing else left. Of course, there was some stuff that could not be integrated because of the Monday REST API, but that's always something you are losing, and that's it. So for us, the biggest pain of the integration or mapping was done during integration, and that's how it worked. So of course, we went to both systems and ask what would you like to have integrated. And I always approach like that: start small and build on top of that small building. So don't start with the huge Excels, like 50 custom fields here do the mapping. Let's start with the description comment, see if it works, then
Yes.
add another custom field, and then think really if you would like to have a integration here and how to integrate, because time is money, and also you need to think about if that investment of time and money is really justified for your business, because sometimes it
Oh
doesn't,
yes.
because you spend like 1 or 2 weeks of integrating one custom field because it's like so super special. I'm not even saying about the custom fields from the add-ons, right? That are storing the like JSON representation or something like that, or script runner. That's a different story. But I'm always saying, do you really need us to invest like 1-2 weeks of our work to just have that custom field integrated? Because the answer really often is no. So no,
Because the business is not aware about the cost of it, right? And so when it comes to migrations, we often face this challenge that we start working with the technical teams that are supposed to perform the migration itself, but then there is also the business involved that simply would like to move everything from, let's say, Monday to Jira. And by doing this, they would like to make Jira look like Monday.
Oh yes.
We often try to say,
Oh
hey, you're
yes.
migrating to a cool solution. So how about simplify? Is there a need for 100 fields? Maybe we can write a script and move them over to the description. So You keep the field, you keep the values, but you don't recreate the fields. So in your position, you work with both teams, technical and business. So how this conversation looked internally?
So exactly what you were saying, it's I can sign underneath, because it's exactly like that. If somebody migrates from one tool to another, would like always to replicate exactly the tool that that person worked in, or worked on, and then I'm always saying, as a solution architect for many years, I'm always saying, no, it's a Jira, it's out of the box product. We are buying that. We cannot customize it as you want, because in the data center you can do whatever you want nearly. But then my goal inside eBay was to be able to do the upgrade of the instance in 1 hour. That was my ultimate goal, and we achieved that with the Ansible playbooks, customization and post upgrades, migration of the files on the system, and so on. That you are just with the one click of the workflow in GitHub, you can upgrade an instance, because you don't think that, oh no, now I have so much customized UI, I need to check everything 10 times. Of course, we were upgrading on the staging and test first, but I remember when I worked in the branch of Commerzbank that the upgrade of the server of Jira took 6 months because of the so many customization, also changing the code of the Jira in itself. So I said, okay, never again. And that's exactly the approach that you said. So what I'm doing, that reducing, so people should understand that the Jira and the object, I'm saying object, you can be screen, can be custom fields, can be value, anything what is stored in the database is an object. And more object you have, the first of all, it's more difficult for user to understand the system and the complexity of the system. And second of, it's about the performance, because Jira loads all these custom fields on the data center to the screen still. So if you have like 5,000 custom fields, it's still loaded, and you can even test it with REST API call to the ticket, right? You will see all the custom fields there. But so what I always suggest, it's exactly the solution that you have. If you migrate from the system, think about if you really need that field and check the usage of the field, if it was really used. And if you will need that in the future, because the storing the data, it's enough really often. It can be as in the descriptions, dedicated custom fields, or in the comment. And I really often do that, and I have a script runner scripts for doing that as well, to moving the value from from multiple custom fields into the dedicated field as an archive field, and then you are just deleting custom fields. That's it. Or I use the Jira Doctor, that merging together custom fields into the one, and then you reduce as well the duplication and clutter of configuration. So
that's a very nice feature of a Doctor, by the way. This merging stuff, because then we can have a little amount of fields, like as clean as possible, right? With all the values needed from the other system, because there are obviously differences, right? And aligning them by recreating hundreds of fields, so doesn't really make sense, the complexity of it, and maintaining this and keep it simple for the users. Yeah, that's a different story. Okay, so we are both vendors on the marketplace, so I think that maybe we can cover the topic of how the marketplace looks and share some best practices on how to select the applications. There are obviously a lot of vendors there, right? And there are legacy vendors that they are there for, let's say, 10, 15 years. And when I talk to the customers or partners, many times they say that whenever I'm looking for the application, I'm just choosing the one that have the biggest amount of installations, right? But I would say oftentimes it's tricky, because if you're there for 15 years and there was no competition, it was easy to get those installations. Right now, when there is a competition, because of doing this way, you're always selecting the older solution, not the best solution there is. So I was wondering, like also as a consultant advisor, what's the best approach to look for the application and the marketplace, and how to check if it's best?
Oh, that's a really good question, and we can elaborate on that for the days. But from my perspective, what I did, so first of all, you need to have a problem, right? And then you try to find the solution for problem. I always recommend start to see if Jira can do that. Maybe not perfectly, but maybe with some kind of automation and so on. Then, if you cannot achieve what you need, then of course you start investigate the second step for me was always Atlassian Marketplace, and then outside of Atlassian Marketplace. But let's focus on the second part of Atlassian Marketplace. I believed in the past that installations are verified by Atlassian. No. Now I know as a vendor that you can create 1000 installations without no issue because Atlassian does not check if the installations are still active and valid. So you can, for example, install the app, forget about that, not paying, not uninstalling, but it is still will be there. So especially for the companies that have a 10 plus years of being on the marketplace, they can have like thousands of installation, which are like 10% only the real value because Atlassian don't care at all. They doesn't care at all about that.
So legacy installations that are not really there, right?
And even better, I got an offer from the company from the far east that's proposing me to bump up the amount of installation of the doctor if I will pay them because they will recreate the instances in the cloud for free with some kind of automated way, and then we'll just install the doctor, and then I will have a 1000 or 2000 installation. But that's the no goal. So for people that thinking that installation is the only and the best factor, sorry for that, but it's the worst. Maybe not the worst, but it's totally not showing the
not
reality.
the factor, right? Not
Yes.
the one that is the
Yes.
most
So
credible.
one of the factors that it's important, but the best factor, in my opinion, is recommendation, especially from not selling people, but from the Atlassian community. And especially, I'm the Atlassian community leader for Berlin Brandenburg. And what I did, I when I lived in the Netherlands, I was not the Atlassian community leader, but that time I was super active and user member of community in Netherlands, and I was always bringing my sticking notes with my problems from eBay. Like sometimes it was even 10 cards, and I was coming there and asking, "Hey, can somebody support me with that problem because I would like to hear your opinion about that." And there are like people with like many people, like 20, 30 usually, depends on the size of the city and the community events, and they were like suggesting me how they did that, if they had such a problem, and how they solved it. And then the recommendation, I think it's the best factor, and I like it the most because if I did the successful implementation with the Jira and Monday, if somebody approached me, I will tell you I did in that way. I investigated other solutions. Of course, I did that 3 years back, so maybe something has changed. So be careful, but I did in that, and I have a good experience of doing that. Try yourself. So the third option is also about the company. So how often they released, and what's their roadmap, and what they have a plans. And I'm sometimes try the support. As I said, I'm sending the tickets to support and see if they are really want to help me with my problem someday. So I'm sending that's my problem, and I'm thinking about using your app. What's your opinion on that? So imagine that situation. Some support I don't understand because my company will never have such a response in my line. But I had a problem last week because I was implementing Jira, Doctor for Jira in the big German company, and they were migrating to cloud, and we were doing with Doctor the cleanup. And there was some problems with X-ray, so we created a ticket to X-ray, and X-ray said, "Yeah, no, we don't care. Create your own app that will query our database of the X-ray, and then you will find the solution for that." I said, "Wow, what a reply! Not that we are planning to do it, we are thinking. Thank you for no. Create your own custom development. We don't care." So watch out with the bigger players because sometimes they are like fat cats, and
I like to use this. I like to use this analogy of Avis that I used on the Atlassian user group meeting, right? That they were the challengers, the second company, and they made their marketing campaign around it. We're second, so we have to try harder. And I oftentimes see that this kind of approach with the very big companies that their tool is as is. Also, because after many years, it's really hard to adapt this tool to a specific use case. But the more corporate the customer, the harder it gets, right? Because their case is unique, and that means that it's worth working with a vendor that is flexible enough to treat you as like this human to human approach, not simply we are selling you something. So it's always about the relation starting first, and then the sales is coming, because if you have a relation and a working solution, that means that this use case will be solved and the relation will last. It's all about this long term value. It's not about selling this add-on once and forget, right? It's about securing the renewal, making sure that there is a possibility to do a case study, and this kind of relation. So I think that brings us to a position that it's not always best to just select the first application there is. Like it was the saying, nobody was fired because they selected IBM. It's not true anymore, right? Maybe try the contender, right? Because in order to challenge the bigger player, they need to do something extra, right? So you mentioned you tried 2 or 3 solutions within a Confluence page and some parameters. What are the usual parameters you evaluate? Response time, quality of the response.
Yeah, so the release dates of the updates, I'm checking the roadmaps often, but I think also important for me, especially as a solution architect, you need to think broader. Like, I need that solution for this problem right now, but you can also check what are the future requirements and if that tool will give you something extra except of that. So some tools are more universal, and like for example, if you learn how it works integration with the Jira and Monday, that was also the selling point for you, and also important information for us, because in this similar approach, if not the same approach, it can be with any other tool, because you will have the same UI, just different connector at the end as a box, and you are familiar and you can configure that easily, or add another integration in the future. That was for us a really also selling point, because, or buying point from our perspective, because we knew, okay, we know that we have other tools and we have different Jiras, so we will be able, if somebody approached to us in 6 months, 1 year, we will be able to deliver that fast, and we have a knowledge inside. Because if we buy just a connector for that, let's say Jira and Monday, without anything else, then if you will have like Jira to something else, you need to start from the scratch, like to Asana or ClickUp or whatever other tool. So, and then if you check your list of the possible integration, I was like already astonished, like, wow, that's a huge amount. Or like, when you find the time to do that with such a small company, like,
And
oh
it's
my
still
god.
growing. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of the selling points we have when it comes to Jira integration. When you see Backbone, you see Exalate, you see us. Backbone is Jira only. Exalate has a few connectors, but in our case, it's like now 18 and growing. When it comes to DevOps, it's TFS for Jira, which does only this one.
Yeah.
Exalate again, which has only a few, and then Getint, which can easily be extended to another use case. So I think that's a point worth mentioning. A particular business need is true for now, right? What will happen if the requirement will evolve, right? So that's a really valid
Exactly.
point.
That was always one of the most important point. If the app is doing something else except of the requirement, and of course pricing, but in the enterprise level, pricing was not really big factor, unless it's like 3 times more expensive, right? So then maybe you consider. But I say always saying that let's buy something that can do more rather than just buying the tool that only does one. So because you never know
Yeah.
if you need that in the future. That's why I like the tools that are like for multiple problems, solving multiple problems rather than one, because you never know if the problem will not encounter in your company, because people are super
Mhm.
creative, and that's it. So that was also
When it comes to the
one.
price itself, I think it's also worth asking, is there any extra cost? Because many times the pricing is not visible, it's not very easy to understand, and you can learn in a month from now that there is a performance package, right? Because you were, let's say, integrating just 100 items a day, which is the case for some companies that we compete with. And then once you pass this amount daily, in order to keep it running, you need an extra performance package. You're not aware of it when you start because you have a testing on a very little volumes, and now that's a surprise. This cost was never mentioned anywhere. So, right, it's always good to validate what the price contains and what it doesn't contain, right? How about support? How about calls? How about the possible adjustments? Maybe script writing, maybe adding a feature, right? All of those things, it's worth asking, not to be surprised that maybe there is a need and there is no budget and there is a cost to be paid, right? Not a
Yeah,
position to
so
be in.
I was totally not aware of that. I heard about that from your presentation last week, because I was like surprised that some companies are not telling you that. Because when I did that investigation, I did not find this information anywhere. So But now I'm also smarter, so I started to ask the vendors if they have battle cards. So battle cards, for people who are not familiar with that, are the vendors really often you have like comparison of the competitors and selling where you are better, maybe where they are better, and then they have investigation, because it's really tough to understand all the apps and how they really work without really doing that, and more than just proof of concept. As you said, I would never be able to find that after like some certain limit you need to pay extra because of some kind of processing, so on, because it's not written on the main page, because that would be no-go selling point for most of the
And
companies.
that's not something you check, right? Especially if you do the integration, or like in your use case, the cleanup for the first time, you don't really know what are the questions to ask, right? You learn them along the way. So if you forget about asking them, or you're not aware about asking them before making the decision, it's hard, right?
Yes.
Later on.
Yeah, exactly. And also the policy. So what I also liked to mention that for some companies, also when on the marketplace, they are like some kind of security measures that you can look at. They are like some kind of tiers, but be careful, because also now I know from my perspective. So even though you want to be secured and so on, and you are, to get a badge, you need to, I don't want to say bribe, but you need to pay yearly for just getting a badge. Like I got an offer recently if I would like to be my company is running on Atlassian on the Forge, right? So super secured everything, and we were investigating, can we get any kind of certification? Yes, you can, but you need to pay yearly $15K. And I think, hey,
And that's it.
$15K, are you crazy? Like $15K is a lot of features that I can build for that money, right? So,
Yeah.
so that's also the gray zone that you need
Same
to.
goes with the rankings. We get a lot of emails that, your tool seems like one of the top 10 solutions for integrating data. If you want to be included in the ranking, pay us $2,000 and you
Yes.
will get a certain position. The more you pay, the better the position. So the importance of this ranking, the credibility of it, it's like, doesn't exist. You just pay to get a badge, right? Same goes with some reviewing tools that are there. If you pay, you'll get a certain position, right? So it's not about the value you deliver. It's not about the quality of support you deliver. It's about you paid to be there, right? So again, we're going back to the case. Test it out yourself. Test out the support. Think about what can go wrong, or how your use case can evolve, and try to ask about the solution. It may become not the need there is simply there for now,
And
right?
there is the fifth option, because that's a long running project, and that's like creme de la creme of the doctor, or our gem that we are working on heavily for the last 6 months, and it's nearly there. So watch out, because we will release doctor report for add-ons.
Okay, what does it?
The,
What will it do?
okay, so you will have, so currently you have 23 reports, different aspects of the Jira, but now we are building currently for cloud investigation of your add-ons. That's the
Okay,
main topic. So we get all the add-ons that are installed on your instance, and we give you some kind of metrics that you can get from Marketplace directly. How many installation, when was the last release, and what are the rate, but also based on consultants like myself. So we did some special kind of form that you can rank give the rating to the app from S tier to D tier, how you like it. As from the, it's of
okay,
course like subjective, but we did a combined average of that, and then you have a rating, and also you have other possibilities of replacing that add-on with other apps, and also
okay.
compare the pricing. So for example, if you would like to have similar solution but cheaper, we recommend you, that's a possibility you can go through.
Wow, that's like a game changer experience for the whole marketplace. Yeah, especially it's of course the marketplace grows, but there's a lot of companies that started a few years ago when there was no choice, right? And they stick to the solutions because it's just there, right? And now, as I assume, because of this ranking, the admin will be able to see that there are some existing installations of add-ons because the users don't really like, and they never thought about replacing them. And now they
Yes,
will get the feedback. Wow,
exactly.
that would be amazing, especially for the newer vendors like ourselves. to reach to those not satisfied customers, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and of course, it's based on the human factor because nobody was paid for giving the rate. That it was the people were paid, but there is no like that the vendors are paying them for better grades. So that's
Yes.
their experience, real experience. That's something that you are missing on the market because everybody, all them, as you already said, all the rankings, blogs, search in Google. It's all about Google Ads, how much you pay for showing,
So
right?
yeah,
Not about the
backlinks.
real human
Yeah.
experience. In the future, we are also thinking about doing the. Currently, you have a rating in the marketplace, but there are not many uh, comments or many entries there. But maybe in the future, we're thinking about expanding not only to consultant, but also to the big players, big users to also fill out the form. However, it's 4,483 rows to be filled. So, because that's the
A
amount
lot.
of cloud apps currently, and you need to go
Okay.
and rank all of them by yourself manually and think like for the some seconds for that or minutes and yeah, but the rest is automated, and we're also working to implement AI also for that to improve like documentation and more like specific checking the usages more, because currently it's more like static logic, but we want to make it like more dynamic AI, and there's some mathematic logic, like for example we grab all apps that are for automation, like let's say
Mm-hmm.
Runner, there is the Jira Workflow Toolbox and all other automations. And then we compare pricing all of them, and then we do percentile of the pricing, and then you have a pricing of your app and the other possibilities in that group of apps. Yeah.
Okay. Like that's definitely the solution I'm looking forward to maybe help you promote, because it's really about the value, not about as mentioned in the beginning, the legacy. I'm there because I'm there, right? But am I the
Yeah, so
best?
so so you did not pay me, but in our list you are S tier, so you should be happy because all our 10 people that are gave that, nearly all of them give you the highest rate. Because what I said in that form, that you should first of all, if you really like the app, because I don't care, if you don't like that app, just put it D. Dude, if you
Yeah.
don't like it, just say that you don't like it. Nobody will know because it's anonymized, and nobody will know that Hubert could gave the D to Getint or to any other
Where
app.
can I find him?
Yes, because it can be great app, but the accessibility and usage is shit, right?
Yes.
And then you should put a D, not that because it's the greatest app, but what is the greatest car if you cannot drive it in the city or wherever, right?
Yes.
So
It has to be good for your use case, right?
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. And of course, to make some kind of averages, we are also dropping the edges. So out of them, we are dropping 10% of the answers, the top 10, bottom 10, and then make an average. That's the algorithm. And also, you have always see how many installation you have, what a rating, what you can scrap from the marketplace.
And all that possible because you thought about, you had an idea, there was no solution on the market, you developed it, you won the code guys, you got Atlassian Ventures, and now developing more stuff like this. Like, yeah, that's the story to tell.
Yeah, and also I love the ecosystem, right? Because like you already mentioned that it's nice because Atlassian is taking most of the work for you, especially for the selling part of your app. So you have you push to the marketplace and the people can buy it, right? So that's a good that you don't have to make like subsidiaries in any countries. You don't sell direct to the customers and so on. So that's really good. Onboarding to the market is super hard. So you know that best, like getting into the market in the first year or 2 years, it's super struggle because of the recognition, getting out of the 5 installation. That's I think the toughest
Yes.
point because we reached 105 installation last week and no bot one. So so
The
that's a
real
real
ones.
installation and yeah. So yeah. So I really like where we are right now and how it's going and develop and I see like I like that also that you have like freshness in the marketplace, that not only the big players but also big players I feel that have a pressure right now on the back from the smaller companies, because the time that you were the biggest and you go, it's gone. Now it's
And the
also
only one.
are smarter
Yes.
and more more checking before implementing something.
So who benefits in the end is the customer who benefits, right? Because they finally have a choice. Of course, they can go outside of the marketplace, but seeing how Atlassian evolves, Jira evolves, they would rather keep it inside. So the marketplace, I believe, will grow. So having a choice is good. But then I remember the vendors that were raising the prices 100% year over year because there was no competition, right? It's like, wow. So also like dealing with it now, it would be harder. So I think in the end,
Like,
the customer will win.
or after the acquisition, right? So for example,
Yeah,
I hate the pricing of the tempo and structure and how they increase the pricing and everything, and they don't care, like,
because they
they are
can.
the number one, and they don't care. So, and the problem is that you have like other solution, but also moving from the well-established app stuff, right, to another solution. That's
Vendor locking. Yeah, it's hard
yeah.
to change. It's hard to migrate.
Yeah, exactly.
Which,
But that's abusing. It's like I hate it. Like using the monopoly of doing that and increasing the pricing 100%. Like also Atlassian in doing that, they want to get rid of the data center, so they increase 100% every year or 50% the price. And
a
that's
bit
it.
too aggressive. Yeah,
Exactly.
if there's a need for it, there are some customers. I know from our own experience, they just simply don't like to migrate to cloud. They're not ready. They feel forced to do it. Yeah, but that's the thing we can't do really much about. We just play the game that's happening, right? All right. So it was really good to talk to you about the eBay use case and about the possibilities and helping the people choose the right applications to work with, right? I think we also tell the story how the ecosystem works and what's really great about it. So thank you, Hubert. Thank you for discussing all this and telling us all those interesting stories.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to be here because I was waiting for the call because I knew that that started conversation in the Atlassian community event. And I will tell you. So Atlassian community event networking is the game changer in your life, even if it's a business life, private life, any kind of hobby life. Opinion of people and digest them and make a decision out of it. So because remember that now with world of AI creating content and so on, you can really easily
A lot of fakes
and try
around, right?
yourself. Exactly. So uh, even though we know each other for long, I did a proper investigation of the solution. It was super good for me to use. And the most important was that I did for myself, because if you select the wrong solution or somebody will sell you the solution that you don't like, it's your problem because they will get the money and say goodbye. So
Yeah,
also
they can change the job and sorry.
and I remember that you said as the last words in the last week, it's not B2B, B2C, it's human to human. And I love it. And
Yes.
I now have in some kind of part of my brain, human to human is the main
Yeah,
stuff.
that's my policy, human to human. Like business is an effect of a good relationship, right? So if you can't build relations with customers, right, maybe you shouldn't be selling, right? It's all about this kind of relation and not just making the best like the very good best impression. Is about maintaining the relationship in the long run, right? This is especially when you're doing the SaaS business. You can't just sell, you have to keep selling every day, keep building this relation, and as an effect of it, keep selling. Okay, so thank you, Hubert. I really hope that we will find a way to meet again in Berlin at your Atlassian user group.
Yes, looking forward.
As you mentioned, it's really good to brainstorm, to meet with the people, to grab some beer together and just casually chat, right, about the things that you like.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Hubert. Have a great weekend. See you.
Bye bye.
Okay.